My ex-wife demanded I pay for her stepdaughter's school trip, saying I should treat all her kids like my own. Then she asked me to buy her a house for equal living standards. That's when I finally drew the line. Hello, Reddit I+ here. My name is Julian Carter, and I'm 34 years old. If you'd asked me 10 years ago what my life would look like at this age, I would have said something simple: a stable career, maybe a small house near the city, and the occasional vacation. Kids weren't even on my radar. But life doesn't really care about your radar. I met Monica Hayes when I was 26. She was 24, free-spirited, impulsive, and very different from me. I'm quiet, more calculated, the type of guy who makes lists and double-checks them. Monica was the opposite. She'd wake me up at 2 in the morning and say, "Let's drive to the coast. We'll watch the sunrise." We weren't compatible. Deep down, I knew it. But there was something magnetic about her. We dated for just over a year when she told me she was pregnant. With twins. I remember that night like a movie. She sat across from me in my tiny apartment kitchen, holding the pregnancy test with trembling hands. I felt like the walls were closing in. My brain went through every possible scenario. How would I afford it? How would we raise them? Were we even capable of being parents together? But when I saw her eyes watering, something inside me softened. I told her, "We'll figure it out. I'm not going anywhere." The months that followed were rough. We tried to act like a couple, but it always felt forced. Our conversations were about baby names, doctor's appointments, and finances, rarely about us. Still, when the twins, Ava and Lucas, were born, it felt like my heart split into 2 equal parts. I remember holding them in the hospital, one in each arm, whispering, "You'll never have to wonder if your dad loves you." But Monica and I, we didn't make it. By the time the twins turned 1, our relationship had disintegrated. There wasn't a dramatic blow-up, just a slow unraveling. She admitted she wasn't happy, and I admitted I felt trapped. We ended things amicably, or at least as amicably as you can when 2 young parents split. We agreed on 50-50 custody, no child support, equal split of expenses. Honestly, it worked. For years we co-parented without major issues. When the twins were 3, Monica introduced me to Eric Dawson, the man who would eventually become her husband. He was 30, worked in construction management, and had a daughter, Sophie, who was the same age as Ava and Lucas. At first, I didn't mind him. He seemed polite, respectful. I thought, good, maybe this guy will help Monica settle down. But things changed once he and Monica got serious. She started dropping little hints about wanting one big family. Comments like, "Wouldn't it be nice if Sophie came along on your weekend trips? The kids get along so well. Maybe we could all do birthdays together, as a family." I didn't object at first. Sophie was a sweet kid, and the twins enjoyed her company. But slowly, those requests became expectations. If I planned a trip to the zoo, suddenly I was expected to take Sophie too. If I bought Ava and Lucas new clothes, Monica would ask if I got anything for Sophie. The final straw was when Monica left Sophie with me one Friday night without asking, saying, "You already have the twins, so what's the difference?" I confronted her afterward. "Monica, I'm not Sophie's dad. It's not fair for you to dump that responsibility on me." Monica, "Oh, come on, Julian. The kids see each other as siblings. Don't make them feel divided." That was the first time I realized Monica had blurred the boundaries in her mind. Fast forward 5 years. Ava and Lucas are in 2nd grade, thriving. They're bright, curious, and full of questions about the world. Their school announced a special 3-day science trip to a museum in the city. It wasn't cheap, several $100s per child, but I didn't hesitate. I paid for both of them, excited for the experience they'd get. When I told Monica, I expected her to be grateful. Instead, she folded her arms and said, "Monica, so what about Sophie? Are you just going to let her stay behind while your kids go?" "She's not my child, Monica. That's for you and Eric to handle." "Monica, do you even hear yourself? They're all siblings now. You can't treat them differently." That argument went in circles until Eric decided to join in. He told me, "Man, you're setting the kids up to resent each other. You're making them feel like second-class family." I asked him straight, "Eric, why is Sophie my responsibility? Did I father her? Did I marry Monica? Number? You did. Handle it." He didn't have an answer. He just looked at me like I was heartless. I thought the school trip fiasco was the end of it. I was wrong. A week later, Monica asked me to meet at a diner. She came prepared, rehearsed, with that serious face she gets when she's about to launch into a speech. She said, word for word, "Julian, if you really care about Ava and Lucas having a healthy environment, you'll help us buy a bigger house. Right now, they notice the difference between your place and ours. It's not good for them to feel like life is better at one parent's home than the other." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, but she was dead serious. "Let me get this straight. You want me to help you and your husband buy a house? Monica. For the kids, so they can all feel equal me. No, absolutely not. I provide for my twins. That's where my responsibility ends. She didn't like that. She accused me of being selfish, of not caring about the whole family. I told her flatly, Monica, I didn't sign up for your family. I signed up for mine and I walked out. Since then, things have shifted. We don't co-parent anymore. We parallel parent. My house, my rules, her house, her rules. We exchange the kids without long conversations. No more group outings, no more shared plans. Do I sometimes feel guilty? Sure. I don't want Sophie to feel excluded. But that guilt isn't enough to erase the truth. She isn't my responsibility. Neither is Eric's nephew, or the baby he and Monica eventually had. My twins are my world. They get the best of me, and that's the way it should be. The last time Monica brought it up, I told her, this is the line. I'll raise Ava and Lucas with everything I have. But don't ask me to raise your family. I didn't choose that life. You did. And for the first time, I think she realized I wasn't budging. You see, after the diner argument, I thought Monica would back off. She didn't. The next week, she showed up during drop-off, her tone sweet, too sweet. She leaned against her car while Ava and Lucas ran into my place. Then she said softly, Monica, Julian, don't you think you're being a little cold? I mean, the kids notice. They see how you spoil them and how the others don't get the same treatment. Do you want them growing up thinking they're better than their siblings? I clenched my jaw. Me. I'm not spoiling anyone. I'm being their father. That's my role. You and Eric can provide for the rest. She sighed dramatically, like I just didn't get it. Monica, you know when Ava comes home and talks about the new books you bought her, Sophie cries in her room, she feels unloved. Do you want that on your conscience? That hit me, not because I believed it, but because Monica knew exactly where to poke. She'd always known guilt was my weak spot. I hated the idea of any child crying, especially if it was somehow tied to me. But I stood my ground. Me. Don't use Sophie's feelings to manipulate me. She has two parents. They're responsible for making her feel loved, not me. Monica's smile faltered. She muttered something about me being heartless before driving off. A week later, Ava asked me an innocent question at bedtime. Ava, Daddy, why can't Sophie come on the museum trip too? Mommy says you don't want her there. It stung. My 8-year-old was repeating her mother's narrative word for word. I hugged her tightly and said, Me, sweetheart. It's not that I don't want Sophie there. I just can't pay for everyone. Mommy and Eric can decide what's best for her. Her eyes dropped, and I knew she didn't fully understand. How could she? She was 8. But I also knew exactly what Monica had done. She'd planted the idea that I was the reason Sophie was missing out. The manipulation wasn't aimed at me directly this time. It was aimed through my kids. 2 weekends later, Monica called and insisted we talk like adults. Her favorite phrase when she wanted something. I agreed to meet at her house. When I arrived, Eric was already there, arms crossed, acting like the mediator of a negotiation I never asked for. Monica didn't waste time. Monica, Julian, this isn't working. The kids feel the divide. They notice who gets what. They've started comparing everything. If you really love them, you'll step up for the family. Not just your twins, Eric chimed in. Eric, look, man, we're not saying you need to pay for everything, but pitching in here and there, for trips, gifts, maybe even vacations, would help a lot. It would show the kids they're equal in your eyes. I laughed, shaking my head. Me, equal in my eyes? They're not equal. Ava and Lucas are my children. Sophie isn't. Your nephew isn't. Your baby together isn't. I didn't father them. I didn't choose them. You did, Monica's voice rose. Monica, you're tearing this family apart with your selfishness. If Ava and Lucas grow up resenting their siblings, it'll be your fault. That was the breaking point. I slammed my hand on the table. Me. No, Monica, it'll be your fault for trying to blur the lines, for trying to guilt me into raising kids that aren't mine. My responsibility begins and ends with Ava and Lucas. That's the truth. Her face turned red, and for a moment, I thought she might actually throw something at me. Eric grabbed her arm and muttered, Calm down. I stood, looked them both in the eye and said, Me. You want one big happy family? Fund it yourselves. Stop using me as your safety net. Then I walked out. 2 days later, Monica texted me a long message. Pages worth of guilt tripping. She wrote things like, Do you really want Ava and Lucas growing up knowing their dad didn't care about their siblings? Kids don't understand technicalities like biology. They only understand fairness. One day, they'll hate you for making them feel different. Then the kicker. If you don't start helping with the whole family, I might have to reconsider the custody arrangement. The kids should be in a home where they aren't taught division. It was a threat, plain and simple. I didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the message to my lawyer. The following weekend, during pickup, Monica tried again in person. She put on her softest voice, the one she used to use when she wanted me to agree to things without thinking. Monica, Julian, we both know you're a good man, a good father. I don't want this to get ugly. Just do the right thing. Help us. Make the kids feel equal. I looked at her for a long moment, then said firmly, me. The right thing is raising my children the best I can. That's it. You chose your family. I chose mine. Don't confuse the two. And don't ever threaten me with custody again. You'll lose that battle. Her smile cracked, and I saw the frustration boiling beneath the surface. But she didn't argue. She just turned, walked back to her car, and slammed the door. Since then, Monica has tried subtle jabs, comments at drop-off, little digs about fairness, but I no longer let them in. The line has been drawn. My twins are thriving. They know their father loves them. They're safe, happy, and secure in my home. That's all that matters. As for Monica, I think deep down, she knows she overplayed her hand. She tried guilt, manipulation, even threats. None of it worked. And me? I've learned the hardest, most important lesson of all. Boundaries are love too.